go. Cloud cover, kind of dreary. Let's take a look at the big weather stories across the country. And there are a lot of high pressure systems in place, but we call them dirty highs, not the normal high pressure that clears out all of the cloud cover. There's still some lingering clouds, and that was definitely the case in southern Ontario through the day Saturday. The biggest story is obviously this low pressure system that is going to bring a lot of rain to the eastern prairies. It's already begun, nothing too heavy yet, but the heavier rain pushes in as we head through Sunday morning. Southern Saskatchewan, southern Manitoba, this is going to be an all-day Sunday event, starting to clear out by Monday in Saskatchewan, and then for Manitoba, especially in around the Interlake region, it could linger through the day on Monday. But 50 to 70 millimeters of rain in the hardest hit areas, locally heavier amounts in southern Saskatchewan if you get a thunderstorm, potentially severe, especially in northwestern Ontario. By the way, for Sunday, there's also the risk of a few pop-up thunder showers through the Alberta foothills and the BC interior. Those are the big stories we're going to follow. Come and tell you all about that coming up later on Sunday morning when he comes back to the National Weather Centre. But basically, fog is still going to be an issue right across the GTA, right across southern Ontario. We saw it Friday night into Saturday morning. We'll see it again into Sunday morning and again into Monday morning. It's just the cooler air over the warmer lakes and an easterly wind kind of blowing that fog further inland. So that's the story for us. By the way, for our friends in northwestern Ontario, there's the risk of some pretty severe thunderstorms come Sunday evening. That will be a big story through the day. But for us, again, a mix of sun and clouds. We saw a little bit more cloud cover than we wanted to see on Saturday, and that kept our temperatures a few degrees lower than anticipated, but we should see a little bit more sunshine for Sunday, and so temperatures should be back to around 24-25 degrees for most of us. Again, for Saturday, 22 degrees at Pearson, 21 degrees downtown Toronto. We should be closer to 25 degrees at this time of year. But for Sunday, I mentioned 24-25 degrees for most of us, up to 26 degrees in Barrie, and feeling like the low 30s when you factor in the humidity. By Tuesday, maybe I can click ahead here for you. By Tuesday, we should be pushing the upper 20s, so temperatures are warming up in the long range. Now, thank you very much, Jacqueline. And in this long-range forecast, we're actually following what could be a weak hurricane come Tuesday. It's not yet Cristobal. It will be. As of 11 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night, it is still a tropical depression, but likely at some point on Sunday morning it will become a tropical storm. It's still a good 600 kilometers away from the Bahamas at this point in time, but the models are indicating that it will just stay to the east of Florida, and even by Thursday, we're still looking at Cristobal, what will be Tropical Storm Cristobal or Hurricane Cristobal by then. It's still going to be around North South Carolina. So if you're in Atlantic Canada thinking, could it be like Bertha and skim Newfoundland? It is possible. Some models are indicating that, but we're talking, at least a week, if not 10 days out before we can really be certain where it's going to be tracking. So that's a story in the long range forecast. In this long range forecast, it's all about the rain in Saskatchewan and Manitoba this weekend. Heavy amounts of rain. The good news is in the long range, you have a pretty dry looking rest of the week. So any flood concerns that we have Sunday and Monday, we'll have time on Tuesday and Wednesday, and the weather should be cooperating to get out and clean up any damage that there may be. So again, that's some good news. It's been cool in Alberta. Temperatures by Tuesday rebound into the low 20s, so that's good news for you. Winnipeg, however, you're looking at a few cool days. Regina as well. Temperatures will be below seasonal Sunday and Monday because of all that rain and cloud cover. And for Toronto, we're back up to the high 20s by Tuesday, and that's when we could see our next shot of rain. Until then, looking fairly quiet across the east. Next, our segment, the top 5 signs of fall.
You're watching.
Okay, we're talking about fall, and that's a little bit scary, but it will be feeling like fall across the eastern prairies. And we wanted to mention, with all of this rain, Margot, and we'll show you some tweets from Margot right now. With all this rain, she's heading from Edmonton to Winnipeg, and she's just asking people, if you want to share your weather story in southern Manitoba, to send her a tweet, because we're going to be broadcasting live from the Winnipeg area Sunday and likely into Monday as well. And let's face it, there has been an awful lot of rain in Winnipeg lately. Back on Thursday evening, that thunderstorm rolled through, dumped a lot of rain in only an hour, and we ended up seeing people kayaking and canoeing down the street because there was no other way to get around. Those could be similar scenes from Regina to Winnipeg through the day Sunday into Monday as all of this heavy rain continues. It's also going to be extremely windy. Southern Saskatchewan Sunday morning through the afternoon, and into the Interlake region as well, where there are some wind alerts in place for the Interlakes. Now, that being said, the rain will slowly ease by Monday for Saskatchewan and likely continue in Manitoba through the day Monday, but by Tuesday you clear out right through the long range. I do want to point point out that in southeastern Saskatchewan, we have that red bullseye where 70 millimeters of rain is likely, but there's also the risk for thunderstorms in southern Manitoba. So if you have a thunderstorm on Sunday, that's going to be more rain on top of what's already in the forecast. And I mentioned the winds. When you see reds popping up, those are winds sustained anywhere from 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, and then stronger wind gusts on top of that. So again, it is going to be a very windy and cool and brisk day. Elsewhere, it's kind of a simple forecast for most of us across the country, like in British Columbia, where there was this beautiful sunrise earlier on Saturday. Thank you to our viewer in Sydney, British Columbia. Thanks, Lois, for sharing this with us. Basically, across the country, temperatures in the west are going to stay cool, but for Alberta specifically, we are going to see temperatures rebound back into the low 20s. British Columbia, great-looking long-range forecast, and Atlantic Canada, pretty decent as well. Now, coming up, we do have a lot to talk about, and now Sunday morning marks the anniversary of when it touched down, made landfall in Florida as a Category 5 storm, massive storm. In fact, the 5th costliest hurricane ever on record. And I think that had a lot of people nervous about what is going to be Cristobal, currently still a tropical depression, maybe by Sunday morning upgraded to a tropical storm, and then it will be named Cristobal. But at one point, the computer models had it heading toward Florida. Now it looks like it is going to stay to the east. Potentially, we're talking over a week out, maybe skirting Atlantic Canada. So it's a storm we're keeping a close eye on. There's also several tropical storms spinning in the Pacific as well, and most of them bringing large waves to California in the south, but besides that, moving away from land. Another big international story. Remember that big volcanic eruption back in 2010? Well, it's happening again in Iceland. There is a volcano pretty active, and it's actually causing earthquakes. And the largest one was local time Sunday morning. It was about 5.2, 5.3 in magnitude. So we're following this story as well, and we'll have weather stories from your home coming up.
For your quickest way around traffic.